but Ram. Ram was overwhelmed, overjoyed and overexcited. The tiny little baby opened her bulb-like eyes and smiled for a fraction of a second and closed it back again. Ram's heart was filled with joys of spring. While the villagers thought it was a glum moment for Ram, Ram celebrated the arrival of his daughter Sudha. While the villagers thought that it was a burden to have a girl child and an overburden to educate her, Ram left no stone unturned to educate her and did everything to make sure that she is not deprived of anything. Ram broke all the stereotypes. Ram's struggles and Sudha's hard work years later made Sudha a doctor. The villagers who pitied Ram smiled guiltily. There was a change in the village's atmosphere. Everybody wished for a girl child, and if their wish was granted, there was a great grand gala. Life moved on and wedding bells were ringing. It was now time for Sudha to get married. Ram got a proposal from a very well-educated, very well-respected and a very well-known family. And in a few months, Sudha got married. Sudha was a down-to-earth and a dedicated person. She put in all her blood and sweat to be what she is today. Her work life meant that she would not be a regular daughter-in-law, which meant that she could contribute very less to the household chores. Her folks, who initially seemed fine about it, later on started creating problems. Her folks, who were cool as a cucumber, became cunning as a fox. And as a result, there were a lot of fights, lot of misunderstanding. And Sudha was out of place. She was at a crossroad. On one hand, she was at the peak of her career. And on the other, she was starting a new life. She was confused. She didn't know what to do. She wept silently on her bed and went to sleep. She woke up next morning and went straight to her father. Ram was reading the newspaper when Sudha came in home. Sudha went straight to her father and cried her heart out. Ram listened to her and said, "Beta, it's time now that you concentrate on your family and give up your career." Sudha was shell-shocked. She was not expecting this. "No," she cried. "I cannot do this." Ram was not pleased. Both started having arguments and the conversation became a heated one. When Ram put his foot down and said, "Is this why I got you educated?" Sudha was dumbstruck. She was not expecting this. She froze. She was drowning in a sea of grief. Everything around her became silent. She didn't know what to do. She just closed her eyes. And a few moments later, she heard a faint sound. Tit-tit-tit-tit, tit-tit-tit-tit. She opened her eyes and she gazed at her clock. It was her alarm and it was a bad dream. Sudha got dressed and went straight to her father. Ram was reading the newspaper when Sudha came in home. Sudha was going through a roller coaster of emotions. The images of her dream was popping up in her mind again and again. But she gathered all her courage and went straight to her father and cried out and explained about her dilemma. Ram listened to her patiently. He kept his newspaper down and said, "Beta, I have educated you, empowered you and made you independent. You are wise now to take your own decision. Whatever be your decision, I will stand by you." He asked her to think about her take some time out and think about her priorities. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, let's forget about what finally Sudha decided. There were two Rams in my story. One who eventually gave in to the social stigma, and the other who stood by her daughter and thought that she was capable enough to take her own decision. The crux of the matter is, when you educate a person, you're empowering him or her to take the decision, whether the right or wrong. For generations, women have been suppressed to social and cultural pressure. The society has either been empowering women or suppressing them. But Ram broke all the stereotypes. We need more such Ram to ensure that we bridge the gap between these boys and these girls. Education can help change the society. The question is, are you ready for this change? Are you ready to break the stereotype? Over to you, Toastmaster.